My name is Danielle Atwood. I'm 32 years old. And last Sunday, my mother-in-law tried to destroy my marriage with a single envelope. She slid it across the dinner table like it carried the weight of truth itself. Looked straight at my husband and said, "I think you need to see this." Inside was a DNA test. A test she had secretly done on my 3-year-old daughter. She thought those results would tear my life apart. What she didn't know was that those same results would tear hers apart instead. And what none of them knew, not my husband, not his sister, not even his father, was that I had found out about that test 2 weeks earlier. And in those 2 weeks, I made sure the truth would come out on my terms. But before I take you there, take a moment. Like, subscribe, and tell me in the comments where you're watching from and what time it is. I read every single one. Now, let me take you back 7 years. I was 25 when I first met Patricia Atwood. Mark and I had been dating for 4 months. He took me to his parents' house on a crisp October afternoon. Patricia opened the door like she was assessing a witness. No hug, just a firm handshake. Eyes scanning, measuring, cataloging. The first half hour was fine. Pot roast, small talk. His father, Warren, telling a story about rewiring the garage. Normal. But then Patricia leaned forward slightly and shifted the conversation with surgical precision. "So, Danielle, where did you grow up?" I told her. Bridgeport. Small apartment. My mom was a pediatric nurse. "And your father?" I paused. Set my fork down. "He left when I was 6. She nodded slowly and touched her pearl earring. That gesture. I would see it again. And again. And again. A small, practiced twist between her fingers, like she was filing information away. "That must have been difficult," she said. Not with sympathy. With documentation. Later, in the car, Mark smiled. "She liked you." I looked out the window. Did she? That night, I realized something I didn't yet fully understand. Patricia needed to know where everything came from. Not just people, everything. The wine. The furniture. The stories. Origins mattered to her. She tracked them. And she remembered. I didn't know it then. But one day, she would turn that obsession toward my daughter. We got married the following June. Small wedding. 40 guests. Ocean air. Patricia wore cream. My maid of honor called it a power move. I ignored it. I was marrying a good man. The first year was quiet. Peaceful. We rented a home in Milford, close enough for family, far enough for space. Except Patricia didn't believe in space. She had a key. She used it. She'd come in unannounced Tuesdays, sometimes Thursdays, and rearrange things. The spice rack. The closet. Once, she reorganized my linen cabinet and left a note. Towels by color. Easier to find. I said thank you. Mark said, "That's just how she is." I said nothing. I was still learning the rules. Then Lily was born. 2 years into our marriage. 7 pounds, 4 ounces. She came into the world screaming, "Strong lungs," the nurse said. Her hair was dark at first. Almost black. Patricia held her and smiled warmly. "She looks just like Mark did." For a moment, I thought everything might change. It did. Just not the way I hoped. At 6 months, Lily's hair started to shift. Slowly. Dark brown turned auburn. Auburn turned copper. And by her first birthday, she had a crown of soft, glowing red curls. Beautiful. My mother had the same hair. Her mother too. I understood exactly where it came from. Patricia didn't. Or maybe she did. But she chose something else. "Interesting," she said, holding a curl between her fingers like evidence. "Red hair." She looked at Mark. Then at me. "Where does that come from?" I explained the genetics. Recessive trait. Skips generations. She smiled. That same tight, knowing smile. Interesting. Because red hair doesn't run in the Atwood family. She said it lightly. Like noting a crack in a wall. Not urgent. But worth watching. After that, things changed. Not dramatically. Patricia didn't do dramatic. She did, gradually. Subtle. Strategic. Comments here and there. "She's so unique looking. No one on our side has that coloring. Maybe there's Irish somewhere?" I started counting. 14 comments in 6 months. I wrote them down. Dates. Context. Patterns. That's what I do for a living. I notice patterns. And this one was building into something dangerous. Then came the call. A lab. A woman named Kelly. Mrs. Atwood, we've received a DNA sample for your daughter. I felt my body go cold. It was submitted by Patricia Atwood. My voice didn't shake. Cancel it. But by then, it was already too late. Because Patricia wasn't just testing for answers. She was building a case. And she had a plan. 5 days later, I overheard Courtney on the phone. She's doing it Sunday. At dinner. In front of everyone. My stomach dropped. She says once Mark sees the proof, he won't be able to ignore it. That's when I knew. She wasn't just suspicious. She was preparing an execution. Public. Calculated. Final. But she made one mistake. She assumed she was the only one holding evidence. Because when I accessed the DNA platform, I found something she never expected. A match. A man named James. Estimated relation. Half-uncle. I stared at the screen. That meant only one thing. Someone in Mark's immediate bloodline had a secret. And it wasn't me. It was her. I dug deeper. Adoption records. Dates. Locations. And then it clicked. Patricia had a child at 25. Before she married Warren. She gave him up. And she buried it. For 36 years. Sunday came. The house was full. Everyone was there. Waiting. Even if they didn't know it yet. Dinner was perfect. Too perfect. Then Patricia stood up. Picked up the envelope. And slid it across the table. Open it. Mark did. Silence. Then he looked up. She's mine. The room cracked. Patricia blinked. No, that's not. 99.9998%, Mark said. That's my daughter. Her world shifted. But mine? Mine was just beginning. Keep reading, I said. Page 4. He did. Then he froze. Half-uncle. He looked at Patricia. Who is James? And that was the moment everything collapsed. Truth doesn't explode. It unfolds. Slowly. Relentlessly. Until there's nowhere left to hide. Patricia broke. Admitted everything. The child. The secret. The years of silence. And in the end, she tried to blame me. Of course she did. But it was too late. Because the truth had already done what it always does. It found its way to the surface. That night, as we drove home, Mark held my hand. Thank you, he said, for not protecting me from the truth. 6 months later, Mark met his brother. Lily played with her cousin. Warren started therapy. Patricia stopped dyeing her hair. Silver now. With traces of red. The truth, finally, showing through. And me? I kept the envelope. Not as a wound. But as a reminder. Sometimes, the weapon meant to destroy you is the very thing that sets you free. If this story stayed with you, share it. Because somewhere, someone is being doubted, questioned, or quietly torn apart. And they need to know. The truth doesn't need defending. It just needs time.